Hello and welcome to 7 Days of Halloween.
Hi everyone, it's Monica and welcome back to Taylor-Made-Cards-for-you. Well, this week is going to be a really fun week because I am launching my 7 Days of Halloween series. Now, I wasn't really sure if I was going to have time to put this together, but I haven't missed a year doing my 7 Days of Halloween in several years, and I really didn't want this year to be the one where I miss out. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of buckle down and get my 7 videos out. And to be honest with you, sometimes when I'm doing my 7 Days of Halloween, it's hard to come up with new inspiration, especially when I have to do 7 videos in a row. But I'm going to do my best to try to inspire you using some old sets as well as some new sets. And if you've watched some of my 7 Days of Halloween series, you'll notice that I use a lot of the Tim Holtz stamps. Tim Holtz typically are my favorite stamps to work with for my Halloween series because he comes out with such great stamp sets. So I'm going to go ahead and combine some old stamps with some new stamps and hopefully, like I said, give you some inspiration for Halloween. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you haven't seen my prior year 7 Days of Halloween series, I encourage you to check them out. I'm going to have them they're linked in my video series. So all you need to do is look for the Halloween series and you'll be able to find all of my prior 7 Days of Halloween videos that I've done in my prior years. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out some of the Christmas videos as well. Not too long from now, we're going to be making our Christmas projects, so be sure to check out those as well. And like always, I'm going to try to get my Christmas videos up. In the past, I've done 12 days of Christmas, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do 12 days, but I'll certainly do my best to get as many Christmas videos out as I can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's project. Now, I love working with vintage items, and if you have seen some of my prior videos, you know that I am a vintage inspired crafter. So I thought it would be fun to create some little cards to stick in our kids' mailboxes or maybe as a gift card. And these are, of course, flashcards with a Halloween theme. So I've been playing around, and these are the ones that I came up with, but I wanted to go ahead and create some on screen for you to show you how easy these were to make. Now, if you are not a colorer, you can certainly do this with just some of your smaller stamps as well. And that was really the idea, is how can we use some of our smaller stamps? I know a lot of us are card makers, and we tend to use some of the bigger stamps, but sometimes we forget about the smaller stamps. And I wanted to go ahead and give you an idea of how you can incorporate some of those into your Halloween projects. Now, there's 2 stamp sets that I'm going to be working with today, and these are not new sets. The first set that I am working with is, of course, a Halloween Tim Holtz stamp, and this one is called Mini Halloween. And these were perfect for my flashcards because, as you can see, these are the smaller images. And then the other set that I'm using is the Cling foam stamps, and I'm using the capital letters for my words. So these are the 2 stamps that I'm going to be working with today. The other things that I'm working with today are distress inks and distress oxides. I'm using vintage photo, and then I'm also using antique linen. Now, for the spider webs, as you can see over here, I did use the oxide, and what I used for that is a stencil. And this stencil is an old stencil. Let's see, it is Plaid Enterprises ink. Not really sure where I got it, but it has kind of a crackly effect, so it was great to create sort of like spider webs through my flashcards. So we're going to use this as well. I'm also going to need a stamping tool because whenever you're stamping images that have the dark, you know, kind of like the silhouette is what I like to call it, you're going to want to have a stamping tool. There's a few of them out there. There's the Misty, and then I have my old Tim Holtz one, and this is the one I'm going to be working with today. And then finally, the cardstock. Now, you're going to want heavy cardstock because these are going to be like flashcards. I am using the distressed, what am I using here? I'm using the Distressed Mixed Media heavy cardstock, and I'm using the bigger one because I was able to cut it down. You might be able to use manila envelopes as well. I don't know how they would stamp on your manila envelopes, but you can certainly give that a try if you don't have the heavy cardstock. But I would recommend using heavy cardstock for these flashcards. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so the first thing I did is I cut my cardstock a little bit bigger because I want to actually spell out the word witch. And while it may have fit, like on this one I did skull, and then I also did spider on this particular one, I wanted to make sure that I had enough room. So that's one thing I would recommend if you are going to make these and you're not really sure what you're going to spell. You know, on this one there was no way I was going to be able to fit pumpkin, so I put boo. But you might want to start out with longer cardstock and then trim it down once you know what word you're going to be using. So I wanted to go ahead and do this image here. It's not going to take hardly any coloring. I might color in the little pumpkin, but then I want to spell out the word witch. So that's what we're going to create today. So I'm going to go ahead and the ink I'm going to be using is Archival ink, and this is the black Archival ink. So you're going to want to make sure you've got a lot of ink because you want it to be, like I said, these silhouette ones take a lot of ink, and you want to make sure you have a nice crisp image. And with these stamping platforms, I'm sure you're aware you can stamp them multiple times and your image will always stay in the same place. Now I got a pretty good stamp the first time, but as you can see the witch needs to be a little bit darker, so we're going to focus on that middle portion right there. And I think I'm going to do one more pass just to get it nice and crisp. Okay, that looks perfect. Now, if you're going to do a few of these and you want to have the same words, I would recommend using like an assembly line. So go ahead and stamp these multiple times, so that way you don't have to keep, you know, readjusting and putting your stamps on and off. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to stamp the word witch. Now, I am going to do one letter at a time, and I would recommend that as well, so that way you know you can focus on the letter at hand, making sure you get a nice crisp image. So I'm starting with the W, and I know that these stamps are still out there. Like I said, these are the cling foam stamps, and I love these stamps for the large bold stamping letters. I know that there are some die cuts out there that would probably work, but I like to have a flat image on my flashcards, and that's why I chose to go with the stamps. And with these, you definitely want to use a stamping platform because you are going to need to get multiple passes to make sure you get a nice crisp image. So there's the W, and also when you are spelling out a word, check it twice, make sure you got your letters straight, make sure you're spelling your word correctly, so that way you won't mess up your flashcard. So coming in with the letter I, and again I'm going to need multiple passes. Then my next letter is T. Now one thing I found about these cling stamps is they hold a lot of ink. So if you're not the type of person that likes to wash your stamps afterwards, I would recommend doing it with these, because I found when I don't wash them, I mean even the little bit here, they hold a lot of ink and they can get really messy. So I would recommend again, like I said, if you're going to do multiple words, stamp it multiple times, because you don't want to be putting these on and off once they have the ink, because if you don't get it positioned correctly the first time and it falls, you're going to mess up your card. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so this is moving along really well. I just noticed my platform must be dirty, because look at, I've got some ink coming off right there. But I'm not too worried about that, because I know I'm not going to need the whole flashcard, because these letters are pretty thin and they are fitting well. So there's my T. My next one's going to be C for witch, and then we can do the final letter H. Oops. And make sure you get the cling side correctly. And this is a really fun idea. When I was kind of kicking around what I wanted to make, typically I'll make cards for my series, but I wanted to make something fun that you can create for the kids. These are fun flashcards that you can use, you know, even as a teaching tool. If you wanted to stick them in, as you can make them into tags, you can stick them in lunch boxes. There's so many things you can do with these, and they're just so fun, especially around the holidays. So that's how I had the idea to create these little flashcards. They can even be bookmarks if you wanted them to. So there's a lot of ways that you can utilize these Halloween flashcards. And then for my final word, or letter I should say, is H. And good thing I'm not going to need that whole thing, because I am making a little bit of a mess here, but it's going to be all right. All right, and then finally my letter H. And there's so many Halloween words that you can use. You know, just look at your images, and even like I said, if you don't want to spell out actually what the image is, you can use some fun Halloween words like boo and stuff like that. All right, and I think we'll do one more pass. And there you go. Okay, so as you can see, I have it all stamped out, and because like I said, these stamps hold a lot of ink, you may want to just take some sort of a heating tool, and if you don't have a heating tool, let it sit for a bit, so that way you're not smearing it like I'm probably doing here while you're working with it. So I'm just going to give it a quick dry. Just to make sure I don't smear it while I'm finishing up here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and trim this down to make it a little bit tighter and to get rid of that mark. There we go. And this is going to be a longer flashcard, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and round my corners here. And as you can see, you know, you are messing with it, touching the words and whatnot. So you definitely want to make sure you dry that. All right, now we want to age it a little bit. And to do that, we're going to use a couple of the oxides here. And so I don't make a mess, let's go ahead and put my craft mat down here. All right, and let's see, we'll start with my vintage photo, and I'm just going to just add some color. And I'm just going around the edges, just to have it a little bit darker. And then we'll come in with our antique linen. Now, as you can see, when you add the ink over the letters, it does mute it a little bit. So if you don't want that muted, you might want to color up your cardstock before you actually stamp on it. I'm going to go ahead and see if a paper towel will mute that or take that off just a bit. So I'll be right back. Okay, so obviously when I did my first round, I must have colored up my cardstock first. But you know what, I'm not too worried about it. I still think it looks good. But we're just going to go ahead and try to get some of that ink off of our images and our words, and we're good to go. Now I do want to go ahead and color up that pumpkin. So let me just get a quick orange here. And this is gonna just take no time at all. I'm just using a couple of different colors just for some shading. And let's see, I do want to have it a little bit darker. Okay, and let's see. Okay, now the other thing I like to do before I start adding my spider webs is I like to add some little words and numbers, kind of like I did here. And I use the Remnant rubs from Halloween, and I've got some great ones here. I've got Toil and Trouble, which I think would be great for this one. I got Enchanted Spells, so there's a couple of great ones I can use to go with this witch. We've even got Witch's Brew. Maybe we'll use that as well. Okay, so we'll put Witch's Brew right here. Enchanted Spells right there. Let's see, maybe we'll use the number 31 for Halloween. And then I wanted to use Toil and Trouble as well. And these are Remnant rubs I've had from several Halloweens. As you can see, as I collect them, I just put them in a bag, so that way I have them all together, and I just bring them out whenever I need them, so it works out great. So let's put our 31 right here, and then we'll put Toil and Trouble right there. I think that looks perfect. All right. And then if you don't have a stylus, I know that you can use all sorts of things. The kits used to come with popsicle sticks. You could probably even use, oh, I don't know, maybe your bone folder, but the stylus works the best. And ordinarily they come right off. Like I said, some of these Remnant rubs are from several Halloweens in the past, but just keep working with it, and they will come off. These are from the Idea-ology collection. So I know that there are several of them out there. I don't think he released any new ones this year, but you can surely find these Halloween ones at your local craft store. Let's see. And like I said, just keep working it till you get the letters and your numbers off. Just being careful to lift a little bit at a time till you know that it has stuck. Okay, so I've got almost all of them off. I've got this witch's brew left, and probably figured that I stopped the camera so you didn't have to sit here and watch me rub these. But just, you know, like I said, just kind of take your time. Once it starts to stick, pretty much comes off pretty nicely. So, you know, put your letters, put your numbers wherever you want to decorate it. And then for your final touch, you want to go ahead and add your little spider webs. Now, if you don't want to do this, or if you don't have the stencil, you know, this is just an added step that I decided to take. And I'm just using my antique linen, and I'm just kind of going over it a bit here. And as you can see, it kind of gives it that spider web look. All right. Don't need that anymore. Okay, so there you go. There is your flashcard. And like I said, you can make them different sizes, however you want to do it. I would recommend, again, if you don't want to have the muted words in the witch, color your cardstock first and then stamp, so that way your black will be a little bit more prominent than this particular one. Now, before we go, I did want to share with you one more item, which is kind of similar. So if you didn't want to actually make flashcards, but maybe you wanted to decorate little tags, the smalls are really good for that as well. So if you have, I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to do the owl. If you wanted to have a little Halloween tag, you know, you can do that by using these little stamps as well. And you can even decorate both sides if you wanted to. So for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and just do the back side, and then we can use the front for your message or whatever you're going to use your tag for. Now for this, since the tag is already a nice cream color, I don't even need to use my distress ink to color it up. I might use some for the edges, but we'll see how that goes. And this owl actually fits perfectly on this tag. These tags are in my shop, so I'll make sure that I list all the items that I've used down in the information box below on the channel. So I'm just lining this up. I want to actually switch this around because this is a deep rubber stamp. And I just want to make sure that's lined up nicely. All right, there we go. And again, I'm going to use my Archival ink. And I'm going to just stamp this a couple of times to make sure I get a nice crisp image. Now with these tags, of course, you're not going to be able to spell out your word because you're not going to have enough room, but this is perfect for your remnant rubs. So let me just go ahead and just dry this up really quickly. Put this aside, and then I'm going to take some of my distressed ink just to edge up the outside a bit. Might do it on both sides. And then we can add our remnant rubs. Where did I put them? I already put them away. Oh, here they are. All right, so let's see what we can do here. So I definitely want it to be Halloween, I think, right? Let's see, specimen maybe. An owl can be a specimen, I guess. And then maybe we'll put some numbers as well. I think that 785 might actually fit. Let's see. This particular set is from Field Notes. It's not the Halloween set, but it still has some great numbers and words for Halloween. So that 785 kind of fits perfectly. Let's see, I don't want it covering the hole. So let's see if we can move it down a bit. Wow, that's perfect. Okay. And again, I'm just using my stylus to get these letters rubbed onto my card. Pick it up slowly so that way you know that it's stuck. And then we'll put our specimen down here. And these would just make such cute Halloween tags with little effort. All right, and then you have this to write your little notes, and then of course the back side is for Halloween. So I hope that you've enjoyed my very first video for my 7 days of Halloween, and I've given you some ideas for your holiday crafting. Remember, your holiday crafting doesn't need to just be cards. You can create tags, you can create bookmarkers, even little inserts to go in your kids' lunch boxes or whatnot, and I'm sure they would get a kick out of it. So as always, I'll leave a list of all the products that I've used to create these, along with the links to the stores. And if you've enjoyed my video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you do end up purchasing any of the supplies that I use, I would really appreciate it if you use my links, because that's what helps me to support my channel and continue to buy product to be able to provide these videos for you. So we'll see you again tomorrow with our second day of our 7 days of Halloween. We'll see you again next time. Bye.